the non-substantive, meaningless quote from Leon Rose as to why this transpired. And I know that the public at large doesn't care about the media per se in terms of the media, quote unquote, being all in their feelings. But we're a conduit to the Knicks fan out there. And I think that it's just emblematic of the Knicks organization taking the Knicks fan base for granted from the standpoint that we're going to invade MSG. We're going to walk through those turnstiles no matter what. When you stunk up the joint, when you were an absolute joke, we were still there. So certainly now that you're contending for championships, we're going to be there now. And I just think that if I had a better explanation, I would feel good about it. I've been critical, Jay and Doggy, as you both know, about Tom Thibodeau and his rigidity, his unwillingness to utilize the bench to develop no matter what when you bench during the regular season. So you know that there are definitively 9 to 10 guys that you can rely upon come postseason time, and that's something that he has failed to do. Yes, he used his bench in this series against Indiana, but that was when he had no choice. When you look at the amount of minutes they accumulated in the postseason, they played what amounted to, in terms of minutes, what amounted to 15 more games than anybody else had played in the playoffs in terms of minutes played by these guys. You see it right there with Bridges, Anunoby, Brunson, Hart, and Karl Anthony Towns. It's just utterly ridiculous. You can't run your guys into the ground like that. So from a rigidity perspective, I do understand how the Knicks would look at it differently. I heard Brian Windhorst earlier today on Get Up when he said, hey, New York Knicks made this move. They watched him use the bench in the series, and that was sort of indictment against Tibbs because of what he should have been doing. But I also would like to remind people it wasn't Tibbs that gave up 5 first-round picks, 4 unprotected, for a guy that's never even been an all-star, Mikal Bridges. It wasn't Tibbs who gave up Julius Randle, DiVincenzo, and another first-round pick for Karl Anthony Towns. And so when you look at the lack of assets that they have in terms of quantity, number of bodies, it's hard to hold but so much against Tibbs when he's had back-to-back 50-win seasons, when he advanced to the conference finals for the first time since 1999. When you take all of those things into consideration, I don't like it at all, but maybe I will like it in the days and weeks to come, considering who the next head coach is going to be.
So, Stephen A., to your point, it's hard for me to be surprised when I've seen this same movie play out 3 times already. I've seen it in Chicago, I've seen it in Minnesota, and now I see it in New York, right, where Tibbs comes in, he builds the culture to the right point, he brings in the personnel, he maximizes the floor, but then it's hard for him to raise the ceiling. Just for context for people, go back to 2003. Worldwide West was part of that 2003 Detroit Pistons team, the team that won, Rick Carlisle won 100 games over a couple of years, won the Eastern Conference Finals. They let go of Rick Carlisle because of some internal challenges they had. They then brought in Larry Brown, to your point about who they bring in next, that helped them win championships, okay? So there is history in when this has been done before. And also, if you spend any time with Leon, and I have, I feel as if he's pretty practical in his approach. This isn't when people out there saying, well, it's just because they lost to the Indiana Pacers. No, it's not because of the postseason challenges, even though the door was open for them to get to the NBA Finals, right? But I'm glad that the organization didn't allow the postseason success to allow them to look at the entire body of work differently. This is also the same New York Knicks team that went 0-7 against the Cavs and the Celtics throughout the course of the regular season. You bring up the points issue, the minutes issue. That was a big theme about the rigidity of Tom Thibodeau. Yes, you bring up some of the personnel challenges with Leon Rose. They are accountable for that. But also, were we maximizing the personnel we had on the floor? I do not believe so. I brought up multiple points throughout the course of the regular season and in the postseason about now you get forced into utilizing your bench into Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. That should have been something you were doing throughout the course of the entire season. So I think there are a lot of things that spoke to the rigidity and some of the challenges around Tibbs throughout the course of the regular season. And in order to get to where you haven't been before, you have to do things that you haven't been doing before. And I think this was the right move. And I also think there's a name out there that can pierce through if they're able to get him.
Well, first off, Jay, the Knicks beat the Celtics in the postseason, so nobody in America cares that they lost 4 games to the Celtics in the regular season.
Doggy, they were down double-digit points multiple games, and it took
I don't care. They won a series, Jay.
to come back and win.
They won a series. They
I
beat
hear
the
you.
defending world champs, and now you're bringing up the regular season?
Without Porzingis playing and also with Jason Tatum going down again.
You've had a chance. Let me say something. You've had your chance. Let me say something. Okay? Number one, what they did here to Thibodeau is a complete disgrace. This guy took a team to the conference final, and because OG and Towns can't make a free throw, they lose that series to Indiana. They beat the world champs. He gets to a conference final. They go back-to-back 50 wins for the first time since '95. They get to a conference final for the first time in 25 years. 25 years. And you gave him a 3-year contract extension 8 months ago. And this is how you repay him? By firing him? That is why? Because Mikal Bridges didn't like him? Who cares about Mikal Bridges? Or Anthony, Brunson loved him, and Hart loved him. So the idea that the Knicks players had something to do with this is nonsense. And I tell you right now, let's give the owner grief here. He's a lousy owner. He's been a lousy owner for a long time. He's got an awful reputation. You want to sit there? That's James Dolan. You want to sit there and blame everything on Leon Rose? I think Leon Rose is too smart to have done this by himself. He has deserved the benefit of the doubt. Dolan is not. So Dolan's hands, to me, he was in the exit meetings, to me, is all over this. Think about it. The Knicks have had 12 head coaches in his tenure as the owner of the team. Before Tibbs, they won 1 playoff series. 1. With Tibbs, they won 5. So this is how we're going to reward Tibbs, by throwing him out the door. And who are they bringing in? Pat Riley's not coming here. Who's coming? What, the kid from Cleveland and Worldwide West, the same guy who won in Louisville to hire Ken Payne? How did that work out at Louisville with Kenny Payne? He won 12 games, 12 and 54 before they threw him out the door. So the idea that now we're going to let Worldwide West make the decision on who the coach is, or he has some say, is a bunch of nonsense. This guy's a hell of a basketball coach. Hell of a basketball coach. The Knicks overachieved to get to a conference final. Indiana's a better team. Better team. And if the ball does not bounce 9 feet in the air and bounce in instead of bouncing out, the Knicks would have won that series. Would you then fire them? Here it is. They did a celebration 2 weeks ago. 7,000 people on 7th Avenue when they beat the Celtics in 6 games like they had won a world championship. 6 games later, you throw them out the door? Oh, come on. The Knicks should be ashamed of themselves. That owner I never trust. And Leon Hess. How about Hartenstein? He let him walk. How about the idea that he freaking, as you said, 5 picks for, Stevie said, 5 picks for, our pal Bridges, which is one of the worst trades you ever could see. And that bench stinks. What, this bench is good? That bench isn't any good. So I put all the blame on the Knicks front office. I put none on Thibodeau. To me, from this corner, I know I'm going too long here, he got an incredibly raw deal.
Doggy,
Go ahead, Jay.
I'm going to break down so many things that you just said.
Go ahead.
Let's just start off with the Pacers being the better. Are they the better team?
Yes.
Better teams always win the series. Look, you were up 20. You were up 20 in game 1.